Hello and welcome to today's video, where we're diving into the science and philosophy of happiness with Jonathan Haidt's groundbreaking book, The Happiness Hypothesis. In this video, we'll explore key lessons from this book that blend ancient wisdom with modern psychology to help us understand what truly makes us happy and how we can apply this knowledge to lead a more fulfilling life. If you've ever wondered how to find lasting happiness, how ancient wisdom and modern science intersect, or what philosophy has to say about well-being, then stick with me because we have a lot to unpack today. Part 1. The central idea of the happiness hypothesis. Let's start with the core idea of Haidt's book. The happiness hypothesis is built around the question, what is happiness? In the book, Haidt takes us on a journey to explore this question by examining ancient philosophies, religious teachings, and modern psychological research. And what he uncovers is fascinating. It turns out that happiness isn't just about feeling good in the moment or achieving success. There are deeper factors at play, rooted in both our minds and the way we live our lives. Now, Haidt does something unique in the book. He combines the ancient wisdom of great thinkers like Buddha, Socrates, and Aristotle with the findings from modern science, particularly the field of positive psychology. By doing so, Haidt gives us a comprehensive roadmap to understanding what makes us truly happy. But there's a twist. He also explores how we often get it wrong when we chase happiness in the wrong ways. So what did Haidt find? Part 2. The Rider and the Elephant, Understanding Our Minds. One of the most powerful metaphors Haidt uses in the book is the idea of the rider and the elephant. Imagine your mind as a rider sitting on top of an elephant. The rider represents your rational, conscious thoughts, your logical mind, the part of you that plans, makes decisions, and tries to steer you in the right direction. The elephant, on the other hand, represents your emotional, unconscious self, the part that drives your emotions, desires, and automatic behaviors. Here's the catch. While the rider might have good intentions and clear plans, the elephant is much stronger and more influential. In fact, it's often the elephant that's calling the shots, even though the rider thinks they're in control. If you've ever tried to stick to a diet or avoid procrastination, you've probably experienced this rider/elephant dynamic. The rider knows it's better to eat healthy, but the elephant just wants that piece of chocolate. Haidt uses this metaphor to explain how our emotions and unconscious desires often control our behavior, even when we think we're making rational decisions. The key to happiness, he argues, lies in learning how to train the elephant, getting your emotional mind to work in harmony with your rational mind. This means practicing self-awareness, emotional regulation, and mindfulness. It's not easy, but it's possible. And the more you work on it, the more control you gain over your emotional life. Part 3. The Role of Relationships in Happiness. Another key insight Haidt shares is the critical role that relationships play in our happiness. This is something that has been emphasized by researchers in the field of positive psychology, and Haidt echoes these findings. The quality of our relationships is one of the most important predictors of happiness. This could be relationships with our family, friends, or romantic partners, basically anyone we feel connected to in a meaningful way. What Haidt says is that these social connections provide us with a sense of belonging and support, which are essential for our mental and emotional well-being. And it's not just the quantity of relationships that matters, but the quality. Having a few close, supportive relationships is far more important for our happiness than having a large number of superficial ones. This is why loneliness is often cited as a major factor that leads to depression and unhappiness. In a world that's increasingly digital, we often trade deep, meaningful connections for virtual interactions. Haidt encourages us to nurture our relationships and invest time in the people who matter most to us. Building strong social connections should be at the heart of any happiness strategy. Part 4. Virtue and Happiness, the Ancient Wisdom. Now let's dive into the philosophical side of things, which is one of the most fascinating aspects of the happiness hypothesis. Haidt connects modern psychology with the teachings of some of the greatest philosophers in history, especially those who believed that happiness is tied to virtue. Aristotle, for instance, argued that happiness, or eudaimonia, comes not from the pursuit of pleasure, but from living a virtuous life, cultivating good character traits like courage, wisdom, and moderation. Haidt echoes this sentiment, suggesting that true happiness is found in the development of personal virtues rather than the pursuit of fleeting pleasures or material success. But what does it mean to live virtuously in the modern world? Haidt suggests several key virtues that can help us find happiness. Gratitude, being thankful for the good things in our lives, even the small things. This shifts our focus from what we don't have to what we do have and helps us appreciate life more fully. Forgiveness. Holding on to grudges and resentment only harms us in the long run. Forgiveness, on the other hand, can release us from emotional pain and help us move on. Mindfulness. The ability to stay present in the moment without being overwhelmed by distractions or worries about the future. Mindfulness helps us build emotional resilience and find peace even in difficult situations. By cultivating these virtues, we don't just improve our own lives, we also positively impact the lives of those around us. And in this way, happiness becomes a byproduct of living well, not something that we can directly chase or achieve. Part 5. The Paradox of Happiness. One of the most profound ideas Haidt discusses in the book is the paradox of happiness. The paradox is simple. The more you try to pursue happiness directly, the more elusive it becomes. If we focus only on our own pleasure and satisfaction, we often end up feeling empty and dissatisfied. True happiness, Haidt argues, comes as a side effect of living a meaningful and virtuous life, not as a goal we can force ourselves to achieve. This idea is echoed in Stoic philosophy, which teaches that happiness is a byproduct of accepting the things we cannot control and focusing on what we can, our thoughts, actions, and virtues. The Stoics understood that life is filled with suffering and challenges, and that we can find happiness not by avoiding pain, but by cultivating inner peace and resilience in the face of adversity. Part 6. Positive Psychology and the Science of Well-Being. Positive psychology, the field of psychology that focuses on studying human strengths and well-being, plays a central role in Haidt's book. Researchers in this field have shown that happiness is not just about avoiding negative emotions or maximizing pleasure. It's about building strengths like resilience, hope, and gratitude. Strengths that can be cultivated over time with effort and intention. One of the key insights from positive psychology is the concept of the set point. According to this theory, each of us has a baseline level of happiness that is determined by our genetics, upbringing, and life circumstances. While life events can temporarily push us above or below our set point, we tend to return to this baseline over time. However, the good news is that we can increase our baseline happiness by engaging in practices that promote well-being. Things like gratitude journaling, acts of kindness, and practicing mindfulness. Haidt also delves into the idea of flow, a state of complete immersion and focus in an activity. According to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who popularized the concept, flow is one of the best ways to experience happiness. Whether it's through work, art, or sports, flow provides a sense of purpose and fulfillment that external rewards cannot. Part 7. What's Missing? Further Exploration and Unanswered Questions. While Haidt's book provides a compelling framework for understanding happiness, there are a few areas that deserve deeper exploration. For example, Haidt doesn't dive deeply into the cultural differences in happiness. While he touches on the differences between Western individualism and Eastern collectivism, a more thorough exploration of how different cultures define and achieve happiness would be fascinating. Another area that could have been explored further is the role of socioeconomic factors in happiness. Haidt focuses primarily on individual-level factors, but it's clear that factors like income inequality, access to health care, and education play a significant role in shaping our emotional and psychological well-being. A deeper dive into these structural elements of happiness would provide a more complete picture. Finally, Haidt offers insights into happiness that are largely based on people who have access to basic needs and live in relatively stable environments. However, for individuals experiencing severe trauma or hardship, the path to happiness may look quite different. This topic warrants more attention and could provide a richer understanding of how happiness is achievable in the face of adversity. So, what can we take away from all this? The happiness hypothesis gives us a roadmap to happiness, one that combines ancient wisdom with modern science. It shows us that happiness is not about chasing pleasure or success, but about cultivating meaningful relationships, developing personal virtues, and learning to live in harmony